Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to another match preview. Friday, 7 p.m. kickoff. Flamengo hosts Chelsea in the second group stage game of the Club World Cup. And Enzo Maresca has said he's willing to breach Club World Cup rules to heavily rotate his squad. Now, I'm going to be honest, these South American teams absolutely love this competition. They always play like they've got a point to prove, and it's going to be a very tough game for Chelsea to get a victory. However, with Enzo Maresca willing to break rules and heavily rotate his squad, we could finally see some new signings in a Chelsea shirt. So in this video, I'm going to be predicting Chelsea's starting 11 to face Flamengo in the second group stage game of the Club World Cup. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025. So let's predict this Chelsea starting 11 with Enzo Maresca saying he wants to heavily rotate his squad. This could be a very interesting lineup. Obviously, the first group stage game we played LAFC, and it was a pretty strong lineup, to be fair. We got the game over and done with. It was a very professional performance. To be fair, we had the momentum, we had the chances, and the class and quality showed through over the course of the game. But with Enzo Maresca willing to break rules and heavily rotate, I feel like we could actually see Philip Jorgensen starting in goal for this game. Now, of course, we've got Flamenco, and then we've got S. Tunis, I think that's how you pronounce it, in the last game. So again, I feel like we can see even more rotation in that third and final game. But I'm going to go with Jorgensen in the sticks over Sanchez. I could be wrong. You could just start Sanchez for this entire tournament. We don't know. But we have got the likes of Penders, Jorgensen, and Sanchez. And I feel like they will all get some minutes along this competition, especially in these group stage games. So moving on to left back. Cucurella doesn't really have much cover. The only cover we have is something that a lot of Chelsea fans, myself included, really don't like, and that is Malo Gusto at left back. Now, bear with me because I feel like there could be, something we're cooking here with this rotated squad. Playing Gusto at left back, I really don't like it. A lot of fans don't. I just don't feel comfortable. Gusto under Maresca just hasn't really played well at all. He even had bad moments against LAFC. I said that he played relatively well. On hindsight, he didn't, but comparing Gusto's last performance with previous performances, before that under Maresca, it was a little bit better, but it still wasn't great. So I don't know. Will Gusto pick up some form under Enzo Maresca? I don't know. Maybe he's just taking a lot longer to adjust to what he wants him to do and these new sort of roles and the half spaces and whatnot. Who knows? But I feel like Cucurella does need some minutes. Needs some rest. He'll probably get some minutes in that second half, and Maresca can rotate him that way. Now, when it comes to the centre backs, this is where it gets interesting because, again, we don't want to just put out a completely weak team. These South American teams absolutely love this competition and they play with pride. They play like they've got something to prove against the European sides. Every South American team has pressed really high, been very aggressive, playing all the mind tricks. All of the things that can try and give them the advantage. Flamengo are obviously top of our group. They won their previous game 2-0, and they're only top because of the amount of yellow cards, I believe. So I feel like they're not going to be a pushover. I feel like it's going to be a very tight game in terms of physicality, in terms of trying to settle the ball, get that domination of possession. I feel like over the course of the 90, Chelsea's class will show through and shine to the top, as I feel like it should when we're playing South American teams. However, they are not going to make it easy. But regarding that, and Enzo Maresca loving a rotated squad, the centre-back partnership, I feel like Levi Colwell could get some rest, and we could potentially see Badiashile and Tosin. We could also see Chalobah and maybe Mamadou Sarr. So when it comes to the centre-backs, we could play around with a few combinations. Now, for me, I'm going to go with Sarr because I want to see him play. I want to see him play. He is still... There's a lot of Sars. Still here under Strasbourg. So we'll pop him in as the left centre-back. I really want to see him play. Just interested. Obviously, I saw a fair amount of him last season at the Strasbourg. His highlights and what he can do. And mate, physical, good defensive IQ. He's rapid. Good defender in general. He's young. He's obviously made that transition across to transfer across to Chelsea. We want to see him play. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how he does in a Chelsea lineup. So I'm going to go with Sarr on the left-hand side. I think Enzo Maresca more than likely play a Badiashile, but I would really like to see Sarr. There's also reports that he's massively impressing people in training, and a lot of insiders are saying this guy needs to go straight into the first team. And that's a very good sign for a new signing of someone of his age. I think he's, like 19 years old. So he could be a very key figure in that defensive lineup, especially going into next season. Want to see him play. Partnering him, I'm going to go with Chalobah. I'll go with Chalobah. Going to go with Chalobah. I feel like that would be relatively solid. Chalobah's got the experience in the back line. And obviously he plays a lot for Chelsea's first team in rotation, obviously with the likes of Tosin and etc. But I'm going to go with Chalobah to partner him. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to go with Reece James because I feel like, again, he will play. Now, my thought process with this back line is at half-time, Maresca may decide to take Reece James off, again, just to manage his minutes. We could then maybe push Gusto over to that right-back position and then maybe bring on Cucurella as left-back. He could also potentially play Ashimpong on that right. And again, it could be a like-for-like swap where Gusto just plays left-back and then maybe comes off for Cucurella later. But on that right-hand side, it's Reece James for Ashimpong, potentially. But I feel like, again, we can't just play our weakest side and expect a result. I feel like you're going to have some stability in there, some experience. And obviously, he's our captain. So I feel like Reece James is going to start right back. Now, when it comes to the holding 6 positions, or the one that goes into the advanced 8 and the holding midfielder, this is where I think we're going to see the biggest rotation because we've got Asugo and Santos, and we saw a glimpse of what Asugo can do in the previous game, and I really like what I saw. Very much a Caicedo like-for-like style player. So I'm actually going to go with Asugo to start. I feel like he will play. I think this is the right Dario Asugo, that's the one. And I'm actually going to go with Andre Santos. I feel like Andre Santos, 1, deserves minutes, 2, we want to see him play as fans, and 3, it'd be very interested to see how he plays in that sort of Enzo Fernandez role where, he does come back and do a bit of the dirty work, but predominantly he is drifting forward into more advanced areas, driving the ball forward, looking to create spaces and opportunities for players going further forward, and obviously being able to shoot from range as well. Really want to see Andre Santos, and I think Asugo and Santos in that holding midfield role as it is to start, I think would be really, really interesting to see, and I would love to see that. So when we go to the front 4, again, we're going to need some experience. We're going to need some. We don't really have a lot of options on the wide areas. We've got 3 wingers currently. I feel like Tyreek George may start the game. I feel like he might start, and we might get a rotation purely because, again, it's. Oh wait, hang on. Tyreek George over on the left-hand side, purely because 1, rotation, and 2, Noni Madueke had a really poor game on the left-hand side in the previous game. So I feel like Tyreek George just may start in terms of like giving fresh run out, get him to start the game, see what he can do. And then on the right-hand side, Pedro Neto played fantastic. He got player of the match, right? So you either start Neto or you start Madueke and rotate them on the right-hand side. I don't know. We are very, very thin on the wingers at the moment. So be very interesting. There's not really much we can do other than play what we played last time or start George instead and rotate maybe Noni and Neto. But on the left-hand side, I'm going to go with Tyreek George. In the 10 role, Cole Palmer plays so many minutes. He is our best player. Will it be Cole Palmer? Will it be Enzo Fernandez? Will it be KDH? Will it be Christopher Nkunku to start the game? That's the big question for me. I want Cole Palmer to rest. He plays so many minutes. He is our best player. At the same time, you could put an Enzo Fernandez there. I feel like he plays best when he is further forward in the pitch with them, the late box run-ins. He's getting very, very good at that. I can't really decide, if I'm being honest, thinking about it now. I'm going to go with Nkunku, and I really don't rate Nkunku in a Chelsea shirt. I think we can all agree that. Yes, I'm a fan of terms of I want him to do well, but he clearly doesn't want to be here. He's been brought along to this squad, and we still don't really know why. But I feel like we could start with an Nkunku, rest Cole Palmer for at least a half. If we really need to bring him on. And again, it's just that it plays into that heavy rotation system that Enzo Maresca likes to do. He could also play an Enzo Fernandez there. He could also go with a KDH. So we've got variety in that 10, but if you take Cole Palmer out, you just lose a lot of quality in terms of Cole Palmer's up here and everyone else is below a standard, right, in that 10 role. Now, with the right-hand side, I feel like it's just a flip of a coin if you're going to start George. Will it be Neto? Will it be Noni? I feel like you'd start Neto purely based on the fact he got man of the match last game. And we were running thin, very, very thin on wingers. We've got 3. So can't really do much there. Very curious to know your thoughts down below, though, about Neto, Noni. What do we do for this game in terms of the wide areas? Obviously, we're linked with a lot of left wingers at the moment. You know, we've got Esteval Williams coming after the Club World Cup on the right-hand side, which helps. You can also play centrally. We're linked with, you know, Nusa. We're linked with Fofana, Gittins, which I think we just really need to get that sorted ASAP so we can actually have some left-wing support rather than just relying on Neto Noni, who can play both sides, and then just having George as a backup. I think it's dangerously low on the wide players. And when it comes to the number 9, I feel like we need to start the lap. I feel like we have to start the lap. We saw a glimpse of him. He got 26 minutes in the last game, got himself an assist. You can really tell by the way that the runs and the way he was trying to link up play and how fast and physical he is. Very, very different to what Nicholas Jackson brings. And Jackson played a good half. He got the assist. And I feel like that competition is going to really start building across the season. I think it could be very healthy for both of these players. But he started Jackson the last game, brought on Delap. Could we see him start Delap this game, bring on Jackson later, just to keep things fresh, move things around? There is the only reason I say that he might not do that is because, look, if you're going to play in, and this is based on the 11 I've picked here, if you're going to play in Kunku in a 10, that's not a player that Delap is going to be playing with a lot. So, essentially this tournament, then he's gone, right? Unless somehow we keep him for the next season. So he may want to play a Cole Palmer there or a KDH or someone who will still be here next season. Maybe that Enzo Fernandez in a 10. So he can kind of understand how the link up works between that 10 and himself when it's not Cole Palmer. Could be wrong though. I think that's a very, very rotated squad, and I still think it's good enough to do the job as long as we go out there and we do our job. You know, potentially Sarr doesn't start. It might be a Badia Shield. Potentially Sanchez over Jorgensen. I feel comfortable with that holding midfield set. In Kunku, again, question marks. The wingers, there's not really a lot we can do. But I'm happy with that. I think that definitely gets the job done. It'll still be exciting to watch. We want to see Asugo, Sarr, Santos. We want to see Jorgensen get some minutes. We want to see Delap start. And obviously we want to see him score on a Chelsea shirt. I think this may be the game that he can do that. It'd be great to see. And obviously we want to see Tyreek George get as many minutes as possible because he's a fantastic player. And I feel like this is going to be a real big push on last year in terms of development and getting more minutes across the Premier League season. So that is my Chelsea starting 11 to face Flamengo tomorrow, 7 p.m. kickoff in the UK time. Do you agree with my lineup or do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.